US President Donald Trump has announced a historic peace deal. He has said that the UAE and Israel have reached that historic peace deal, which will lead to full normalization of the relationship between the two countries. Let's first tell you what we know about the agreement so far. Israel has agreed to suspend applying sovereignty to areas of the West Bank that it has been discussing annexing. The peace deal was the result of lengthy discussions between Israel, UAE, and the United States of America. The agreement was sealed during a phone call on Thursday between the three leaders, Donald Trump, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi. The officials described the agreement to be known as Abraham Accords. Take a listen into what the US President said.
It was like in love. It was a tremendous relationship has been built up over the last, I would say, year. Before that, it was very tense, as everything in the Middle East is. It's very tense. It's a very tense place. But it's becoming less tense, and I have great relationships with all of the leaders, and some are enemies against each other, and I get along with both. That's, I guess, the big thing. People don't understand that about me. I've gotten along. I remember when I was elected, they said the war will start with somebody within days, and I've kept us out of war. You look at North Korea, everybody said, including President Obama, that's the biggest problem. Everybody said you'd be at war. Well, we're not at war. You would have been at war if I wasn't elected, if it was somebody else. Now we're doing very well in the Middle East, and I'll tell you what, it's been an incredible thing. But no, it was tense, but the relationship has become a very good one between UAE and Israel, and also with other countries, many other countries. And I think you'll be seeing some very exciting things, including ultimately with the Palestinians. I think that's going to be happening at some point, because it makes a lot of sense for them to let it happen.
The joint statement by the three nations said that they have agreed to full normalization of the relationship between Israel and the UAE. The two nations will be exchanging ambassadors and embassies. Now, this agreement will give greater access to Muslims to Al-Aqsa by allowing them to fly to Tel Aviv from Abu Dhabi. The joint statement said that the UAE and Israel would immediately expand and accelerate cooperation regarding the treatment and development of a vaccine for the novel coronavirus amid the pandemic as well. Joining us live on the broadcast this minute is Ehtisham Shahid, editor at Trends Research and Advisory, live from Dubai. Thanks very much for speaking with us here on WION World is One. What do you make of the timing of this announcement?
It's very difficult to pin down what really led to this exact development, but yes, it's been going on behind the scenes for a long time. So there was a sense that something of this sort is going to happen sooner rather than later. There is a fatigue factor in the Middle East, there is an Iran factor in the Gulf. So there are lots of permutations and combinations that have gone into this decision that has been announced today. You can also attribute a bit of it to the elections in the United States. So all that put together makes it a very potent and timely announcement.
What do we know so far about the agreement, apart from the fact that this will lead to full normalization of ties and there will be embassies and ambassadors exchanged? We also are aware of the cooperation between the two sides when it comes to the development of a COVID-19 vaccine.
Yes, that will have to be the immediate one. But again, it is going to be a very long process because the two sides will have to sit and thrash out a lot of details that need to be executed on the ground. And it is not going to be easy. There are lots of areas of cooperation, businesses especially, because considering the way the global economy is gravitating towards the depression phase, it will be good for both the sides to have some level of cooperation that offsets the recession that is expected or the setbacks on the economic front. So that would probably be the starting point, and that helps both the sides. Then, of course, there are cultural issues, there are tourism, there are aviation-related avenues of cooperation. So there are a lot of areas in which the two sides can work out details on. It will depend on who is more keen on what area first, and what are the mutual agreements that take this process forward.
Right. Ehtesham, you said at the beginning that there were several factors which might have led to the acceleration of the process. Of course, the discussions have been underway for a very, very long time now. But to what extent do you think that the November re-election was a significant factor which led to this announcement by the US president?
Well, for the U.S. president is definitely a factor because it'll add credence to his claim that he's a deal maker and that he has succeeded in bringing two sides together. You heard him talking about North Korea. There has not been much progress on that front. So if he really manages he's already to an extent managed to bring the two sides together. So this is going to help for Middle East watchers. But within the domestic constituency, to what extent it yields him good dividends will remains to be seen. It's kind of inconsequential as far as this part of the world is concerned. Of course, the whole world watches American elections, but there is a feeling in the Arab world that no matter whether it's a Democrat or a Republican president, things don't change as far as the Middle East is concerned. Now that there has been substantial change on the ground in this with this announcement, we would have to wait and see how it pans out as far as Trump or the US presidency is concerned.
All right, we're going to leave it there for the moment. Ehtesham, thanks very much for joining us with those perspectives.